r/AskReddit. Divorce lawyers of Reddit, what's the most outrageous reason someone filed for divorce? Guy came in and wanted to divorce his wife because he found out that she was still married to some other guy. He then asked me if he needed to tell his other wife that he was married to this wife. This was a free legal clinic and everyone was homeless. A lot of stories make more sense when they end with "and everyone was homeless." To avoid prison. Guy came in saying he was going to be indicted for many things. The list would have been impressive if it wasn't also sickening. So, he wanted to marry his accomplice because he saw on TV that your spouse can't testify against you without your permission and the accomplice had cut a deal. He just needed to get this pesky marriage to his current wife dissolved. In the US he'd be wrong. Spousal privilege says that your spouse can't be compelled to testify against you but may still do so voluntarily, at least for federal law. She saw him in bike shorts and said she could never be sexually attracted to him again. I practically live on a bike path and let me tell you that some people shouldn't wear bike shorts. Or anything with spandex. Ever. I'm one of them. It's frightening if my shorts are too tight. Good advice. Oh boy, I've been working at a family law firm for 3 years and I have seen/heard some crazy stuff. For example, we handled a divorce for an older man, 70s, BC. He was cheating and wanted to be with his mistress. 2 years go by, he comes back to divorce the mistress. BC. He's been cheating on her with his first wife. Wife found photos of her husband dressed up as a ballerina. Husband files for divorce because wife does cocaine. He brings us photos of her with coke on her bare boobs. Then admits he took the photos. Then admits he's the one with the coke habit. Wife filed for divorce because she didn't want to relocate to a neighboring state for his promotion. Couple with open marriage both end up jealous and call different law firms, and file separate complaints for divorce within hours of each other. Number 3 was him trying to flex. Because she bought a $3,500 dog as a surprise and when she sent him the picture he responded with this kind of impulsive bullshit is why your family is poor. Which one filed? She did. She was livid at that comment. He was very harsh, but damn, I have to agree with him. Don't waste your money, ladies and gents. Overheard in court one day a woman wanted to divorce her husband because he likes taking pictures of trains, and had been doing so for years before. The guy is on track. But the marriage was derailed. Former paralegal here. I worked for a small firm and we had woman come to file a fault divorce and husband was to blame. She filed out the paperwork but didn't put a reason which we need for fault divorce, you know? My boss and I sat down with her and ran down the reasons. Abusive to her? No, he never raised his hand to her. Abusive to the kids? No, he was a great father. Cheating? No, he was faithful. Addictions? No, he never drank or did drugs. Actually he was, but we'll get to that in a minute. Having sex with you? Yep. Money trouble? Nope. What was the problem? Dude, couldn't quit looking at porn. He was a porn addict but the wife didn't consider that addiction because it wasn't drugs or alcohol. You're probably thinking what's weird, that seems like normal reason to file and people probably do. Dude was addicted to goat porn, like farm animals. She brought in hundreds of pages of his porn searches and saved files. It wasn't even people having sex with goats, it was goats having sex with other goats. He also liked to watch mules be bred. It was strange to say the least. We called him the goat, grossest of all time. There was some human and animal stuff but the goats are what stuck with me. I'm betting he isn't allowed near petting zoos. A man wanted to divorce his wife, fault and no fault type of divorce, because she was diagnosed with cancer. I've heard of couples doing this, in the US, so that the spouse with cancer is entitled to state medical programs that married people are not eligible for. Hopefully it's something like that, because damn. I did maybe 5 divorces. I had one client who, after I met her soon-to-be ex-husband, stated, "Do you see how retarded he is? That's why I have to divorce him. If I had known how retarded he was, I never would have married him." The guy fired his lawyer once a month and constantly tried to file obviously fabricated or altered documents when he was between counsel. Eventually, very favorably for my client, we settled since he couldn't find someone to take his case and was looking at felony charges for all the fake documents. I love that case because it was just such a circus and my client was very reasonable. I only got into second sentence and just combusted. During their honeymoon, the wife asked for a Gucci handbag and the husband told her he couldn't afford it because he just spent $200,000 on the wedding plus honeymoon. She filed for divorce after their return. First of all, let me stop you right there. They're both pretty nuts to spend that on a wedding if Gucci is out of their price range. A man filed for divorce because he couldn't stand listening to his wife make the ah sound after every drink. Apparently it got to him over the years. One straw really can break a camel's back. I'm related to a couple for whom the last straw was him laughing at a joke about how to light birthday candles. Important context, things had been rocky for a while, and they'd gone back and forth with trial separations, counseling, renewal retreats, reconciliations that didn't quite last, etc. But then they were at their son's birthday party, and another relative started lighting the candles from the left side of the cake. Wife: why didn't you start from the center and light outward? Relative: I thought about it, but I was worried you'd have nothing to complain about. Husband chuckles. Wife storms out in tears, files for divorce the next week. Obviously, it would be dumb to say they divorced over the birthday candles, or over a joke. To her, him laughing at a joke that was made at her expense was a sign of the lack of respect between them. And she just couldn't take living with him if things were going to be like that. They're both happily remarried and stayed civil as co-parents. I remember seeing an episode of Divorce Court where the lady was upset because her husband cooked too much and he was too nice. Dude seemed genuinely sweet. Poor guy. A guy who cooks too much and is too nice? I volunteer as tribute. Not qualified, but butting in nevertheless with a story my physician brother told me. His patients tell him everything. One of his patients got divorced because after his girlfriend and he got married, the girlfriend began bugging him about quitting the meds he was taking for depression and anxiety, because she should be enough or some such thing. He eventually did, then later she wanted a divorce because he wasn't the same guy she married. This reminds me of my ex. I have had really intense panic attacks since I was in middle school, so I have a prescript for anti-anxiety medication. Really helps me, keeps the attacks at bay. Enter this guy and he is super against big pharma, etc. and into natural remedies. Keeps pestering me to stop poisoning myself. Also used the "I should be enough" tactic. I finally agree to try taking a break from my meds just to see if I still need them / can be better without them. I get a huge panic attack one day, hyperventilation, can't breathe, throat feels like it's closing, crying erratically. Instead of comforting me and trying to help, he screams at me for being crazy and that I just need to think myself out of it and tells me I'm irrational. Literally, no empathy, no understanding of the state I'm in. Long story short, we're not together anymore, thankfully. After 7 years of marriage, a husband, unbeknownst to the wife, started trying to convince their nanny to have a threesome, telling her his wife would be really into it. He was a Wall Street guy and she was a physician, and the nanny had been with them since their first kid was born 4 years earlier. The nanny finally made a move on the wife, who told her it was inappropriate. But a few months later, they got drunk, and they had that threesome. It turned into a regular thing. The husband was totally happy, until the wife said she and the nanny were in love with each other, and she was leaving him for the nanny. During the custody proceedings, the husband tried to argue the nanny was an illegal immigrant, which was ridiculous. In the end, the wife got primary custody. 3 years later, the wife and nanny are still together, though they hired a new nanny. They hired a new nanny. Have they not learned that hiring nannies is a bad idea for marriage? My friend's parents, because she was tired of the husband being too short, the same height as when they started dating. She a dum-dum. Divorce lawyer here, and to be honest, most divorces come down to 2 things. 1. Fighting too much / poor communication, usually about money, and 2. Cheating. Both are a symptom of falling out of love or realizing you didn't love them enough in the first place and something is the last straw. That's probably 97% of divorce cases right there. I don't think I've had too many unusual reasons for getting divorced, but family law is indeed full of drama and crazy situations. I once had to visit a client after she was involuntarily committed to a mental hospital. She thought she and her mechanic, who she had delusions was her boyfriend, were 2 halves of the reincarnated Jesus Christ. She was untreated bipolar 2. Also had a wife whose husband literally wore tinfoil on his head and handcuffed her to a cabinet. She refused to press charges against him. What? The video is already over? Have no fear, more videos can be found on the channel. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like and subscribe. Who knows, you might receive a cookie.